been doing push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Oakley with you here. Super happy you can join us here on the 28th of February. Whoa. 28th of April. Where am I at? Quinn just gave me a look from across the room. 28th of April, 2022. It is draft day. It is here. Football fans rejoice. It's the one time that we get to wear our NFL jerseys in the spring, bust them out of the closet, dust all the cobwebs off them, and get them going here for 3 days in April to get your fix in of football. I know the USFL's here. It's not the same. I can appreciate what it is. It's just not the same as the NFL. And I'm an NFL guy, not a college football guy necessarily. I love professional sports. I love professional football more than most. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the Steelers do. I'm excited to see what all teams do. I'm excited to watch Browns fans sit on their hands for 3 nights and really just try to understand, as we talked yesterday with Scotty, that what has transpired in the last month. Deshaun Watson better be good. He better be good, or else it is going to be not only a long year, it's going to be a long 5 seasons for Cleveland fans, and possibly longer than that, given the ripple effect of this trade that has transpired. Being that it is draft day, and being that we have lots of games to get to here on YSN, it is time to start our show the same way that we started each and every day, and that is, of course, with On This Day in Sports History. Roll it. On this day in sports history in 1967, Muhammad Ali refuses induction into the Army and is stripped of his boxing title. And the rest is history. I mean, you go from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali, and one of the greatest athletes in the history of sports, in one of the most controversial times in the history of our country. And that happened all in 1967 here on April 28th, not February, as I pointed out in the top of the show. And Quinn said during the segue there, he said it's because it feels like February 28th right now outside. It's a little bit warmer than yesterday. Yesterday, I have no clue how these teams played, because we saw at the beginning of the year games getting canceled because it was too cold and for dreary conditions and weather conditions beyond their control. And I think they're at a point now, athletic directors, coaches, players are at a point now, they have to play. They're forced to play. If it's not snowing or raining or a hurricane, you've got to play baseball and softball. And that's what happened last night on at least a few occasions. Some players and some teams scrapping it. But that kind of goes into a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. It's a little bit more of a serious show today. We talked about the draft yesterday. That was on purpose because Scotty was here. Today, it's a show that I think a lot of parents and a lot of student athletes are going to want to watch. It's one that it deals with something that is near and dear a little bit to all our hearts. in one capacity or another. We're going to talk about mental health in sports today and why it's so important to understand mental health and your own mental health and the mental health of your teammates and your coaches and your programs, if you're a coach or an athletic director. So we're going to get into that today and go right at it, because I think that's one thing that many people steer away from. We've steered away from it long enough. We actually had the mental game. It was a series on Ysn for a while as COVID was here. So in 2020, we had that. And, we're still partnered up with Insight they do wonderful work. Jessica Oates. I'm the only one allowed to call her, one of the few that are allowed to call her Jess. And Jessica Oates has done a phenomenal job of bringing in people that are here to help. And please reach out to them. Over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, the one thing that I need you to understand is if you need help, you need to seek it out. If you feel like you're up against it, there's someone out there that will help you, or there's someone that will lead you to someone who can help you. Mental health is not a joke anymore. Growing up, people were getting bullied and you had to deal with that kind of on your own. That's not the case anymore. There's a ton of people out there that will listen to you, that will help you. And mental health, believe it or not, is something that you can recover from. But it takes work. Just like anything else, it takes work and it takes time. And I think we have to learn to be patient with ourselves. And while mental health can affect anybody, poor mental health can affect anybody. You can be brought down. To me, student athletes in general are some of the most volatile situations, because there are pressures and different scenarios that are higher stakes than most. We'll start here and we talk about D1 athletes and scholarships and all that stuff, kind of the rewards of your work for being a great athlete or being a hardworking athlete along your career, is everybody wants that scholarship. Scholarships are looked at as the ultimate reward. If you get a full ride to go to college, you're not worried about student loans. You're not worried about, having to pay bills 6 months after your grace period when you get out of school. You're not in debt, presumably for the next 20 years of your life till you're 38 years old. But there's pressures that come with that, because what people aren't going to tell you is when you get these scholarships, they are commodities. They're liquid in the form of they're always changing. A coach can tell you that you're going to get a scholarship and then change it the next year based on your performance, your academics, your athletics, because they found somebody different, because they fell in love with someone else, because they left the team. Different college coaches can change the way your scholarships are measured. And that can have a negative or positive effect on your psyche. And a mental health aspect is, if you're doing all this work and let's say you don't do anything wrong, you perform at high levels in the classroom and on the field, and you still don't have the scholarship returned to you, or not returned in the same fashion. So let's say you have a full ride for your freshman year and then a half a ride your sophomore year. That can take a lot out of you. That can knock you down, and that can make you feel bad about yourself and about your situation, and that can help you. And that can really hurt you in your psyche. And looking up some of the mental, because I'm not listen. Again, I will say this: I am not a health or mental health professional. I'm here to simply tell you that if you look like or feel like you need help, go get it. And there's some of the warning signs, that I'm reading right off of mental health gov or mentalhealth.gov. You could be eating. I mean, these are warning signs. Eating or sleeping too much or too little. Pulling away from people and the usual activities that you're encountering. Having low or no energy. Feeling numb or like nothing matters. Having unexplained aches and pains. Feeling helpless or hopeless. Smoking, drinking, or using drugs more than usual. Hopefully you're not doing any of that in the first place. But if you're doing it more than usual, maybe you need some help. Feeling unusually confused, forgetful, on edge, angry, upset, worried, or scared, yelling or fighting with family and friends, experiencing severe mood swings that cause problems in your relationships, having persistent thoughts and memories that you can't get out of your head, hearing voices or believing things that are not true, thinking or harming yourself or others, the inability to perform daily tasks like taking care of your kids or getting to work or school. And then obviously the inability to perform daily tasks like taking care of yourself. These are all warning signs, but these aren't the only warning signs. Some of the things are going to be hidden because if you're like myself, you can catch it, but you just decide to brush it underneath the carpet, skirt it underneath the rug, push it to the side, move on, tread on. There are people out there that want to help you. The pressures of being an athlete at any level. They talk about pressure, right? Pressure creates diamonds. That's the good thing. That's what you want. You want the pressure. You want to bask in that pressure. You want to be able to basically take anything that's thrown your way, crumple it up like you're some kind of superhero, throw it to the side and flex your muscles and say that it was no sweat. But the harsh reality of being a student athlete, being an athlete at any level, is those pressures can wear on you, can weigh on you. Go back to when you were a Little League baseball player or you were a soccer player at the lightest levels. Parents can put pressure on you. Pressure to not strike out. Pressure to just hit the ball. Pressure to kick the ball and not pick dandelions if you're playing soccer. Pressure to score goals. Pressure to stop goals if you're a goaltender or goalkeeper. I don't know what they call it in soccer. It's one or the other. I can't keep track anymore. The pressures are there at a very young age. And trust me when I say that they don't go away any step of the way. Any step along that yellow brick road that we're all trying to get to Oz, those pressures just keep mounting. The stakes get higher. The pressure builds. And this is where we talk about understanding who we are. You have to be very comfortable. They talk about short memory. Quarterbacks have to have a short memory when they throw an interception. Catchers have to have a short memory when a runner steals a base. Pitchers have to have a short memory. Pardon me, when there's a home run. There's a difference between forgetting it and compartmentalizing. And I think that I've done better when I compartmentalize rather than when I forget or try to forget. Because when I try to forget, it's almost like you get flashbacks, right? You try to put it to the side, but the vision will never go away. But when you compartmentalize it, you can address it, address the situation, move on from it. And then if you need to address it again, or if you have a similar situation, you can almost go back like it's a filing cabinet and find it. What worked for me here? What didn't work for me here? See, mental health isn't always about bad. It isn't always, shouldn't always be looked upon as something that you constantly need to feel bad about. Mental health can also be a good thing. You can have a positive mental health standpoint. And I think that's what we need to start focusing on. I mean, you turn on the news, ladies and gentlemen, and all you see is negative, negative, negative. It's, bombs in Ukraine. It's when is COVID going to go away? Oh, it's back with the Omicron or whatever it's called. Another strand. There's bad news everywhere you look. Sports is supposed to be one of the great places where we can take our eye off the ball, no pun intended. Actually, it was. And focus on something that it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't, because it's just a game. Sports has turned into such a part of our livelihood that people are putting so much pressure on themselves that they're taking their lives. They're taking their life, leaving families of people who have been supportive the entire way, that have given up and sacrificed so much of their lives to give to their son or daughter. It's a scary situation. It's a very scary situation, and one that doesn't have to be. No matter what, I'm telling you right now, no matter what, it's never enough. The pressure is never and should never be that escalated that it should cost you your life, that you should take your own life or want to take your own life. It's not worth it. There's ways out. There's opportunities. Tomorrow is another day. Something that I don't really share. My wife knows this. I'm not big into sharing it, but everybody's got bad days, right? I'm not excluded from that. I try to tend to be on the positive side of things. But what I quickly realized in my younger years was on what I think seemingly is the worst day of that week, that year, that decade, my life. On that day, I lay my head down and I tell myself, tomorrow cannot be this bad. Tomorrow will not be this bad. Better days are ahead. And usually those days are followed up with some of the best days. Because you take those poor days that you take 2 steps back, and if you're advantageous enough, you take 3 steps forward and you sprint. You get as many steps as you possibly can in that day, because when you're riding that wave of momentum, you got to go. You got to go. I remember a day earlier this spring having a conversation with one of my friends, constant viewer of the show, Chris Sigler, and I told him, I don't want this day to end. I'm kicking so much ass right now in every aspect of my life. I don't want this day to end. And I literally woke up at 6:30 in that morning, and I didn't go to bed until 1:30 the next morning, until I could not physically keep my eyes open any longer. Those are the days that we want to celebrate. Those are the days that we should and will look forward to. But there's going to be bad days. There's going to be days where it's going to be rough. Things are not going to go your way. It's quicksand. The harder you try to get them to go back in your direction, the more you're going to sink. The more you're going to keep falling deeper and deeper and deeper. Those days are few and far between. We cannot look at those days, highlight them, and say that that is our year. That is our life. Quote the other day, as you know, I'm a quote junkie. Just because you have a bad day does not mean it is a bad life. Do not take those days. Do not take those mentally draining, frustrating, just out of the norm days. Do not take those and point to those as who you are or what you are. Take those days and show them what they are. They're just minor speed bumps on the way to your final destination, which is success. young people have such a hard time because there are pressures. There's pressures from our parents. We've already talked about that. There's pressures from our peers, our teammates, boyfriend or girlfriend. Everybody wants a piece of our time. Everybody wants a piece of your time. Everybody wants a piece of you. You can't spend this much time with this person because you have to do this, this, and this. There's chores. That's life. Life is going to give you priorities. You have to prioritize. How do you prioritize things so you don't hurt people's feelings? Well, sometimes that just can't happen. Sometimes there's just opportunities in life that somebody's going to get a little bit more love and somebody's going to get less. That's just how it is. The people that love you will understand. The people that don't won't. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you should shortchange yourself. When I think of mental health, I think of so many different things. I think of some of my best friends who took their lives. I think of some of my best friends who lost their lives with so much more to give. I was a freshman in college, and one of my dearest friends, a phone call I'll never forget, one of my dear friends that I played baseball with was a couple years younger than me, decided that he was going to take his own life over something that was so minute to all the rest of us. But for him, it felt like it was weighing his world down. So frustrating. I remember being at the calling hours and a group of us who were, I mean, the talent that this young man had in sports was incredible. And he didn't even know it. But he got wrapped up in a dumb decision, not even a bad decision, a dumb decision. And it weighed on him that much that he took his own life. I wish that was the only time that it's ever happened to me. But the one thing that I've learned is I've learned to treasure these relationships a little bit more, to understand that how much my friends can take and let them know that I'm always here to be an ear. And even if I can't solve their problem, I will make sure that I can find somebody that will help them out of their situation. Not necessarily erasing it, but looking at it, acknowledging it was wrong, and fixing the issue. The last thing I could ever live with myself is being put in this place, however I got here, whether it be by certainly God's grace, being put in a position where, for lack of a better term, I'm an influencer. And I know that that word can mean a 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people. But for me, I feel like sometimes because of where I'm at in life, that someone will listen and I can impact somebody positively, because that's what I believe in. If you are in a place where you don't feel, or you ever feel like you can't take any more, you can't take another step forward, my phone is always open to you. My email is always open to you. I'm not going to go on the airwaves and talk necessarily about your story, but I don't want you to become a story of my friend who didn't want to tell anybody. I want you to let someone know, even if it's me, even if you and I don't have a relationship yet. I feel like Delilah right now. It's kind of weird, but it's real. It's coming from a real place. One of my dear friends asked me to address mental health, and the time is right. Because some people get out of winter break and they feel like, okay, spring's just around the corner. Summer's just around the corner. If I could just make it to spring or summer and get a little bit of sunlight, I'm going to be okay. That day comes, the sun comes out, the feelings stay the same. people typically will ask me why I do a little, I don't even want to call it a podcast. I do it almost for myself, but more importantly, and not everybody knows this, I do this for two of the girls that we took care of for over 2 years. So one day, hopefully, they see these videos that I do, and I call it the victory lap. And I basically go around and I talk in about something. I give it a chapter, I give it a number, and we go around and we discuss, just me talking. And I act like this. I similarly to what we're doing now, I talk to them about being positive or overcoming things in their life. And I'm not a psychiatrist. I've got maybe one psych class to my record, but I have gone through situations. It doesn't make me a doctor, certainly. It doesn't make me even someone that can help you. But my goal is to help one person. And if I can help one person overcome what they are going through, or letting them know that I've been through, or I'm going through what they're going through, or what they've been through, and they're not alone, then my job is done. Then I did what I set out to do. On the victory lap, it's constant motivation. It's understanding and allowing people to understand and walk with me and understand that it's going to be okay. No matter where you started in life, it's not where you're going to finish unless you let that happen to you. And that when you think you're finished in life, it's not the end. Just another chapter. So many times in life, we plot out where we are going to be on each step of the journey. We try to journal our life before it even happens, before the experience happened to us that make us who we are, that faces each and every day. There are people that I know that are so just absolutely anal about every single thing that they do in their life that they cannot help themselves. They cannot be themselves if something goes haywire, if it's a step in the wrong direction, if it's a miscue, if something isn't absolutely programmed to the T. They can't absorb that. It's too much for them. It's like putting a crumb into an absolute perfect system of a computer. It's like putting water on a computer and watching it fry the motherboard. People just wig out. There's perfectionists out there that can't handle when something doesn't go absolutely perfect. There's ad-libbers that can't handle any amount of preparation. There's people that are OCD. There's people that it doesn't matter. What matters is you have to understand that life is a thing that happens to us. It's not something we do. Life is like putting your hand underneath a waterfall and watching the way that water cascades off of and reacts off of your fingertips. And every inch you move that hand in towards the base of that waterfall, the splash continues to mount off of your hand. That's life. The truest thing I've ever read in my world is life is 99% how you react to it, and 1% what happens to you. The faster that we can put something together and understand that we have control over our life, even when we don't have control over it. When we feel like we don't have control, you still have control. When you don't make a decision, you've actively made a decision. There are so many different phrases and quotes and things of that nature. And again, I'm a quote junkie, and I try to make them personal to everything I'm going through. Make them make sense. If you're dealing with mental health, as we all have in some capacity, find your triggers. Find the things that bring you back home, right? Is it music? Is there one song that takes you from being complete chaos to complete tranquility, to bring you back home, to where you are, to make you feel like you again? Is it art? Do you like drawing? Do you like putting pen to paper and writing? Do you like writing poems? Do you like writing stories? Is it a craft? Is it something that you're good at that nobody knows or maybe everyone knows? Is it physicality? Is it working out? Is it getting the endorphins going? Is it taking swings of a baseball or softball bat and hitting the ball as far as God can let you hit the ball so you know that you're punishing something, almost as if it's a direct correlation to you being punished yourself? Is it going out and taking a round of 18 at the golf course and just finding your inner peace, sorting through your emotions, sorting through who you are? Is it having a conversation with your mother or your father or your brother or your sister or your friend or anybody to just lift your spirits when you're down? Is it you just sitting down for 5 minutes and meditating and understanding that you need to center yourself? Recalibrate. Folks, days are going to happen that don't go our way. Weeks are going to happen that don't go our way. Months, years are going to happen that don't go our way. But it doesn't mean that we have to look to a final destination that ruins more than one life. There's always a way out. You can always recalibrate and come back to center. But we need to work on finding what brings us. I think everyone in school, we should do away with some of the, I don't want to say stupid classes, I almost did. Some of the classes that don't matter. We need to go back to the classes that do. The classes that are hands-on, the classes that reintroduce us to being a classmate. In sports, we need to reintroduce ourselves to what it's like to be a teammate. And in life, we need to reintroduce ourselves what it's supposed to be like to be a friend, to be a daughter, to be a son, to be a father, to be a mother, to be an uncle, even to be a cousin. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm not much on blood relation. But to me, all that is DNA. My kids call my best friends uncle or aunt. That's the way that I was brought up. A family isn't necessarily DNA. It's who you surround yourself with. Not every father is a dad. Not every mother is a mom. Not every brother has your DNA, nor does a sister. I have 64 people that work here at YSN. Each of them I look to as a brother or a sister. Those are the people that you keep close. Surround yourself with people, not even like-minded people. Surround yourself with people that you don't even agree with, but you respect the fact that they are so out there and bananas to be themselves, to have their own opinion, to formulate their own opinion, no matter how crazy you might be. Go up to that person. Make friends with that person. Because when stuff goes or doesn't go your way, those are the people that you need their experiences, their vision, to make sure you know that there's other opinions out there other than yours. Those people can help you get there. Not every conversation, while parents are very important, parents understand at a very early age that not every conversation is going to go to or through them. That's why parents, you need to make sure that your son or daughter is surrounding themselves with high character people, people that care about them, that if there was trouble, they're not going to leave your son or daughter in the lurch. Our mental health tells us a lot of times that even though it might be one thing that we just focus on so much, that one thing can be nearly 1% of everything going on in our life. And we put so much focus or so much weight on that one thing that we forget about the 99 good things that are going on. I challenge you to refocus on everything that makes your life worth living. I challenge you to focus on everything that makes you want to get up and out of bed. Even if it seems stupid, if it seems like it's unorthodox, to be able to jump out of bed with a passion that ignites you. And I'm so fortunate to be able to have that in so many aspects of my life. But I worked for that. I fought for that. And you can too. And it's not always in the scenarios that you think. And trust me, I've got my bad days. Quite honestly, there's a lot more bad days than there are good days. But you need to look at and find the little pieces, the little breaks of light in that day, in that moment. Sure, it didn't go the way you wanted it to, but there was something out of it that is positive. Look at your eggs sunny side up. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that you should avoid your problems. In fact, I do better personally when I take my problems head on. I have friends that I talk to. I have friends that I adhere to, that I tell about my issues. I have a loving wife that understands that I've sometimes got to put a good face on for everybody in the sports world, but I come home and break down. Because it's not easy. This thing that we walk every day is not meant to be easy. But I'd be lying to you if I told you that in my 37 years, it hasn't been worth it. If everything was always peaks and no valleys, I wouldn't know what to celebrate. We wouldn't know what to celebrate. I've gone through undefeated seasons, and I've gone through seasons where I have never won a game. Luckily for me, the seasons where I was at my lowest and the team was at its lowest were early on. And together we learned that if we work hard, as bad as we feel in that moment, as low as you feel going 0-22, that first win, that next year, all the way to the 21st win of that year, we celebrated just as hard as we fought ourselves when we lost. The juice is always worth the squeeze when it deals with things that you love and you're passionate about. Sometimes we need to relearn how to love ourselves. It's okay to be angry with ourselves. It's okay when you're angry at your spouse, your significant other, your friends, your family. It's okay. Friends fight. Guess what? You're going to have internal struggles. Mental health is, to me, it's an internal struggle that sometimes you have to understand that you're not always going to come out feeling the warm and fuzzies. You're not always going to come out and be a shining example of what good mental health looks like. Some days you have bad days, bad weeks. Hell, you can have bad years. But you never give up. You never give in. You always wake up fighting more. Competitors are athletes and athletes are competitors. There's no one in this world that wants to see someone take their own life. I don't care how bad you have it. It's never worth that ultimate sacrifice. There's nothing. That's a no-win situation. Your parents will miss you. Your friends miss you. Your family misses you. Trust me, it's not the way you want to go. It's not how you want to be remembered. As an athlete, you spend an eternity seemingly creating a legacy for what you want to leave behind. You're not done yet. The fight's not over. The game's not won. If you're there right now, call somebody, anybody. Call a friend. Call your family. Call 911. Get help. I'm begging you. It's been 19 years since I lost one of my best friends. It doesn't get easier. I think about him all the time. A guy that undoubtedly would have been in my wedding, a guy that would have been an uncle to my kids. It's not about me, but in a weird way it is. The effect and the ripple that you create leads to the mental health of others. When you take your own life, when you even fathom about doing something along those lines, you don't realize the amount of lives that you're affecting immediately. And then it becomes a ripple effect because their lives affect other people's lives, affect other people's lives. For once in your life, you're allowed to be selfish. You're allowed to look at yourself internally, externally, and you're allowed to say, I need this for me. Take a mental health day. It's a real thing. There's a lot of people that'll joke about it. It's a real thing. You need a day for yourself. I'm not saying go spend $1 billion and max out your credit card. But what I'm saying is go fishing. Take a day, do something that you love to do. If you like writing music, do that. If you like if you love your job, go do that. If you want to start your own business, do that. Go do something for you. Something that creates a rebound effect. At your lowest point, how far can you bounce up? How far can you shoot straight up? Like throwing a basketball straight up in the air, watching it fall to the ground and then bounce back up. Be the bounce. And take others with you. Undoubtedly, you'll go further and make a bigger impact in this life if you look at that as opposed to what it's like on the way down. Your mental health is important. One of the most important things we have. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Look for the warning signs. Understand that I might be biased. Student athletes have more pressures than anybody in this day and age. Because everybody wants a piece of what they have. Take care of your teammates. Take care of your friends. Take care of your brothers, your sisters. Take care of your mom, your dad. They're going through it too. And coming from a guy that always had the answers growing up, and then when I turned 24, I quickly realized that I didn't have any of them. And then mom and dad were right. Hug your mom, hug your dad, hug your brothers and your sisters. We're all going through some stuff. Whether we're together or whether we are going through it by ourselves, we're all going through something. Please take care of your mental health. Take care of each other's health mentally. That's it. That's going to do it for our show. I hope you get something out of it. And seriously, if you need help or know somebody that needs help, please don't hesitate. It's better to be safe than incredibly sorry. That's going to do it for our show. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you. We'll be a little bit more chipper tomorrow. I hope you get something out of this. I hope you take something away. Get out there and love somebody tonight, and do it the right way. Thanks so much again for everybody. We'll see you 3 to 4 tomorrow here on the Ysn Power Hour. Ysn thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For